recently pulled this sweater back out to work on some more. I originally started it this past summer, back in 2024. I really wanted a t-shirt or like a summer knit that I could wear to work, and I don't need to layer anything over it. I just want something that I can just wear on its own. And I came across this pattern and I thought it would be perfect for that. Of course, as I was working on it, fall came, and then I just wanted to knit fall and winter garments. So I made the decision to just set this aside and work on it this spring so I can wear it all throughout the warm months that we have here in Wisconsin. And I really like this because it has these textured ridges, hence being called the ridge sweater. And I just thought it had really cool increases that were incorporated into like the raglan portion of it. It's like a very thick raglan. And I do really like Hiromi's patterns. I knit her weekend hat like a couple months ago, and I really like that one. And she does a really good job of making clear patterns, so that's been really nice too. The yarn that I'm using is Blue Sky Fibers Organic Cotton Sport, and the colorway is called Jasper. I also used this yarn in the bandana tutorial that I made a couple weeks ago, and it's just really, it's the softest cotton yarn that I've ever personally worked with. I will say it is a very heavy yarn. I'm assuming cotton's just a bit more dense than wool. And so far it's pretty heavy, and it's not even maybe halfway done compared to some other projects that I've recently made that are woolen spun wool. They weigh about half the amount of this. So I find that a little interesting. I'm on to the easy part of this sweater. So I did all of the increases. I split for sleeves, and now all that's left is knitting the rest of the body and finishing these sleeves. My intention is to have the sleeves come a bit longer, maybe down to like my elbow. I just think it'll be a nice way to cover up this part of my arm without having to worry about like putting on sunscreen. I feel this part gets so much sun, and if I make sleeves that cover it up, I just don't have to worry about that. And it just feels like a good length to wear at work as well. I've been working through a stack of clothes to mend this season, and I have a couple pairs of jeans that I blew holes into that I wanted to mend in a special way. I've always been intrigued by visible mending, specifically on woven fabric. The problem is, when I sit down to do it, I have no idea where to even start. I decided to take a class from Craftsy, who is the sponsor of this video. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative. I decided to take their online class, Visible Mending, Patching and Embroidery, taught by Brenda K.B. Anderson. This class explores multiple different options of visible mending as Brenda patches up an old denim jacket with an overall bee and flower theme. I've also been thinking about sketching a lot lately and started taking the Sketching 101 class taught by Mary Fawn. There are a variety of other classes for knitting, spinning, and sewing. Craftsy is always creating new classes to keep you coming back for more and help you stay inspired. As a member, you'll have access to Craftsy's live streaming tutorials where their expert instructors share tips, answer questions, and engage with Craftsy community in real time. The Visible Mending class I took was actually a pre-recorded live event. Craftsy has a special offer for you all who watch this channel. The first 1,000 of you to click the link in the video description or scan the QR code on the screen will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49, valid for new members only. Thank you again to Craftsy for being a sponsor of this video. I'm about to ply up some yarn for Andrew Maury's Spin Along Challenge, which is to take a colored braid of fiber and split it in half lengthwise. Use the first half to spin up some yarn and ply it using the chain ply method, which is similar to a crochet chain, and what it does is it gives more of a gradient effect. So as you see the colors change throughout the fiber, that's kind of the order of how it goes plied up. And then the other half, you would spin it and then ply it as a 3-ply going in different directions. So it would be like a very obvious barber pulled yarn, which is often what you see with the spin cycle yarns. And then you are to knit up a pair of socks, striping those two yarns, and it kind of creates a cool effect. I think they're calling it 3-ply 2 ways. And I already plied up the chain ply portion, so I have it right here as a braid, and it's pretty cute. It does have a little bit of barber pulling in it. That is just because of how I spun the fiber up as a single. It kind of naturally created a little bit of a barber pull, but there definitely is obvious color changes throughout that kind of flow into each other. So there's like very obvious parts that are just pink or cream or blue, and I anticipate this next skein that I ply up to be a lot more blended and possibly more muted fibers, since they'll be kind of mixing up a bit more compared to the chain ply version. So that's what I'm going to do today, is ply this up, and then I will be able to wash these skeins and hopefully start on that pair of socks pretty soon here. Okay, so here they are, and if I'm being completely honest, they do look pretty darn similar. This is the chain plied skein, and this is the barber pulled skein. And if I were to do this experiment again, which I probably will do because I think it's pretty cool and I want to do it right, instead of breaking the fiber braid in half lengthwise, I would cut it in half or break it in half just like perpendicular, if that makes sense. And the reason why is because it'll give me more of the same color. So like I'll have more of this purple to spin, and it'll create a longer single of it. And that way when I chain ply it, it will be a bit more obvious of a color change, and it will have less of this barber pulling. I think this barber pulling is what's causing it to look a little too similar to the skein that actually was intentionally barber pulled. But this one turned out really good. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to wash these skeins and set them and everything, and then hopefully cast on a new pair of socks here soon. been meaning to make this dress since last November. Oops, but I just lost my sewing motivation and I'm finally getting it back. And the dress that I'm making today is the Ginkgo Pinafore dress by Madswick Designs. And it's a really cool dress. It's a wrap style dress and there's a lot of customized options for it. So you can do like a square neck or a V-neck, which is what I'm going to be doing. And it's very easy to adjust different areas of the dress to make it really fit how you want it to fit. And the fabric that I'm using is this linen fabric here from Linen Lab, and it has a bit of a pattern to it. You can kind of see it there. But overall, it's pretty neutral, and I think because of that, it'll just go with a lot of different things that I have in my closet. And yeah, I was kind of surprised with the amount of fabric that is required for this dress, and I think it's because it's double lined. So yeah, 2 pieces of fabric essentially, and I think it needs to be that because it's a wrap dress. So I'm gonna get cutting out the fabric. You saw me cutting out the tracing paper over the big pattern. I like to do that because who knows, one day like I would want to make a different size, or I want to make it for a friend or a family member and they're a different size. That way I'm not cutting into the original pattern piece and I can just reuse these tracing pieces of paper. Yeah, so I'm gonna cut this out. I don't know if I'm gonna get around to sewing it today. Sometimes when I need to trick myself into sewing, I break it up into bite-sized pieces where I'll just like cut out the fabric one day, maybe work on half of the sewing project one day and the other half the other day. But I do remember Casey from Young Folk Knits has sewn this dress before, and she said it was super easy. So at the very least, I could get it done sewing it in one day. But again, I don't know if I want to do that today or if I'll put it off for tomorrow. The pattern pieces are all cut out and I was left with about a yard of fabric left over. So I think I could use the leftovers to make like a summer top, especially since it's linen. I probably will make like the singlet from Birgitta Helmerson. It's a zero waste pattern, so you can really get all the last bits of fabric into that pattern piece. One thing I did want to show you, it's kind of like a little hack or just like a tip, is to save all of the selvage edge pieces when cutting out fabric, because it makes really great gift wrap ribbon if you're going for like a cute rustic look. This is something that I do all the time and I never have to buy ribbon for gift wrapping. So apparently I had motivation to get going on this dress today, And my main goal is to not have to use my seam ripper once. I don't know if I've ever made it through a sewing project without using a seam ripper. It's definitely my most used tool, I would say. So that's my goal for making this project. It looks relatively easy, so I don't know, but all the times I've had to use the seam ripper was on like really ridiculous areas that should have been very easy. So let's see how far I can get, and maybe I'll get through the whole thing without it. But at the end of the day, I'm just excited to have this new dress to wear, especially with spring. I feel like it's a very springy dress that I can wear maybe just like a t-shirt underneath, or even a long sleeve on slightly cooler days. But yeah, so far so good. Here it is. I like it. I don't love it. Not because of the pattern, but because of my choice in fabric. I used a heavy linen with the intention of wearing this maybe a bit more in the winter. I didn't want a really light linen that the air would just blow straight through. But as I try it on, it's poofy in areas that make me feel like I am in Bridgerton. I don't know. I'll show you. It is a very cool design though. So here is the back, and then here's the front. The pockets are on the front. And so you untie it. It actually isn't sewn up the seams at all. It is truly just a wrap dress. So here are the sides. They are not sewn together. And so I'll go ahead and put this on for you. And the way that you tie this up is, well, you have options. You can tie it in the front or have the ties in the back. So I'm going to tie it in the front first. So I take these two straps and I tie it on the interior of the dress here, and then you take the back two straps and tie it to the front as tight as you want. And here it is. I'll back up. It might just be how I have it styled right now, and maybe that my hair isn't really doing anything cute. If I put it up, maybe it could be cuter with like a flowy blouse, but I feel like I'm just kind of wearing a costume a little bit. I definitely think I need to style it some more. Or maybe I wear the ties in the back. But ultimately, I feel like I just have a lot of bulk right here. And that's what's giving the kind of costume feel of it. How do you think I should style this? I have a white blouse with a ruffle neckline that I made out of a bed sheet a couple years ago, and I think that would be cute underneath this. I think it'll definitely have purposes to serve in my closet. This sweater here has been my main focus for knitting because I truly do want to wear this spring before it gets too warm out. I'm just so excited about it. I've been thinking about this sweater since last fall. It is the Viburna by Hanna, Maciejewska, and it's in one of the Laine publications. I forget which one off the top of my head. There's so many now at this point. But what drew me to making this particular sweater was definitely the texture of it. I just think it creates a really unique look with all of these little segments of different types of knit textures. And I thought it'd be pretty fun to knit too, not only because you're switching up between a rice stitch and a slip stitch, but also because this is knit sideways. So I started with the sleeve and I knit the whole right hand sleeve, and now it's kind of hard to show because I'm in the middle of a row, but this is like the top view of it, and you fold it in half like that. So I'm going back and forth knitting on this, and soon I'll be splitting for the neckline. I will say though, this takes forever to knit because it's using fingering weight yarn, and it varies the needle size, but it's mostly knit on a US 3. So I spent like 5 days working on just this strip right here, like really consistently knitting, and that's like as far as I got, which is kind of crazy, but beautiful things take time. I am really loving this yarn that I'm working with. It's also from Blue Sky Fiber. I know I'm like only talking about Blue Sky Fiber right now, but that's just how it all happened to line up. I'm not going to be knitting with exclusively that yarn for the rest of my life. I actually just got some new yarn delivered today for a summer knit that I'm very excited about, and I'll talk about it in next week's podcast. But this yarn is very lovely. It's the Woolstok Light. So they have Woolstok, which I think might be worsted, and then they have a chunky version called Woolstok North, and then this is the Woolstok Light, which is the light version, and it's a twisted yarn. At least the light and the chunky weight version is, and it's quite beautiful yarn. I especially love the color that I chose here. It's called Rusted Roof, and when you first look at it, it's very red, obviously, but if you look really closely, there's a little bit of orange heathering, and it kind of reminds me of a poppy flower in a way, maybe a little bit more orange tone than a poppy, but just something, a color that I really want to wear this season and maybe in the summertime too. But yeah, I've been drawn to these warm tones a lot lately. So hopefully I can get this done this month. That would be wonderful. I have some plans to go up to Grand Marais again this summer or this spring. And I know that the weather tends to be a little bit cooler up there. So this would be a wonderful sweater to wear up there. And I would really like to have it done at least by then. I have definitely been feeling a lot more energized this spring. I've been spending a lot of less time on my phone and really limiting social media. And it's kind of an amazing feeling how quickly I feel better after it. I suddenly just have more time to do all of the things that I think about doing in my head. Leading up until maybe about a week ago, I was getting a little overwhelmed, even just the idea of thinking about what to plant in my garden this year. And like the inspiration just wasn't hitting. And when I talk about my garden, I mainly mean I have raised planters in the back. And so I usually plant vegetables, and as you know, like it takes a lot of planning to figure out what you want to plant, where you're going to plant it, all of that. And I didn't even want to think about it. And I was getting really worried that I wasn't ever going to get the motivation to get my act together. So I was getting a little concerned, like I wasn't even going to have a garden this year, but I didn't want to force it upon myself because I don't want it to be a chore, of course. But I had an idea just hit me out of nowhere. What if instead of planting a vegetable garden, I plant a tea garden, like an herbal tea garden? Just the idea of planting herbs already feels like a little bit less work maybe than planting vegetables. I could be completely wrong, but it's not even about the work that I would be putting into it. It's more about the excitement that I'll have from it. I really like the idea of it being a lot easier to store throughout winter, and I won't feel the pressure to like eat all of the food or do something with it right away when it's fresh. I'm really excited to like dry out a lot of the herbs and then make some tea blends that will last through the winter. And if I get a lot out of it, I could give it away as gifts too, which I think would be super fun. So I ordered a bunch of seeds online, and I think they're gonna get here in a couple days. And that way I can get some of them started that need to be started a little bit beforehand. I'm excited though. I have quite an assortment. I got like chamomile, peppermint, lemongrass, lemon balm, echinacea, rosemary. The list goes on. I kind of forgot what all I got, but of course I had to make sure that it would work in my zone and all of that. So I don't know. I'm feeling really good about that. I know I still have a lot of work ahead of me to get it all planted and everything, but I feel excited for it like I didn't before. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to leave the veggies up to the professionals and just buy those from like the farmer's market this summer. And that way I can still have my fix of really good food, and I can get a little bit more of a variety throughout the summer than I would have if I was just growing it in my backyard. I'd love to know what your experience is with growing herbs in your garden if you've done so. My zone that I'm in is 4B, so that kind of limits a little bit of what we can grow here, but there's still quite a bit of a variety that I can do. But yeah, that's just one of the things that I'm excited about this spring. I also finally went fly fishing with Mitch, and was it beautiful? I'm so excited to do that all summer long. We didn't catch anything. I went out, I just wanted to practice the casting. That's all I wanted to focus on, and really I just wanted to be there for the scenery. So we went to the state park that's local to us, and you go in to an entrance that really only like the fishermen know about and maybe the locals. It's nowhere near the main entrance of it, and so the paths are going through like an old growth forest. Like I don't think there's been any maintenance done throughout there at all except for the path, and it sure is beautiful. There's so many wonderful things to look at while hiking through there, and then you just kind of pop into the river wherever looks right. And yeah, it was such a beautiful night. I remember it was golden hour, and just listening to the sound of the water could put me right to sleep standing in the river. I'm really excited to be able to go out there on like a 90-degree day and just stand in the water and let it cool you down. I went fly fishing once before when it was like 95 degrees, and that was like one of the main things I remember was just how good the water feels when you're standing in it on a really hot day. I'm just gonna keep knitting away at this. I am really getting the bug to start sewing some more, and I have quite a few tabs open on my browser to kind of decide what fabrics I want to purchase for spring and summer. And so I think I'm gonna have a lot of sewing projects coming up here in my near future, and I'm totally going to be leaning into it.